You just flew to your heart's content over the desert at night and lollygagged instead of working." I really had no way of denying his last accusation. After leveling up the royal forest wyvern to the point it could support my small weight, I really had forgotten about everything on Earth and just enjoyed the sensation of flight, while my orcish army made its way across the great desert. But there were plenty of other complaints without the senselessly wasted gaming session. I was in shock and didn't even know how to behave. No one had called me out like this in a fairly long time. I suppose the last time I'd gotten such a chewing out was 10 years ago from my school principal for missing my final algebra exam without a good reason. At that time, I was poorly prepared for an important test, so I thought I'd be clever and skip it, claiming I had sharp chest pains. I was only 10 at the time, and I naively supposed I would simply be allowed to go home, then take the test a day or two later, getting the questions from my classmates and finding the answers to them in the comfort of my own house. However, it all turned out wrong. My awkward attempt at faking illness was quickly uncovered by the ambulance workers, and instead of maximum points on the test, I got a call to an enraged school principal. But then, 10 years ago, I could have guessed that the school director wouldn't have anything good to say, and was morally prepared for his stream of sharp, enraged proclamations. Now, though, the new Special Projects Director for the Boundless Realm Corporation had caught me off guard with his fervent criticism. I didn't know how to act. I could either demonstrate submission and agree with him, or, on the other hand, tell the boorish man what I thought about treating subordinates that way, and sign my resignation right then and there. In the end, life did exist beyond the Boundless Realm Corporation. I'd find myself another job with leadership that treated me right. Also, the 500,000 credits I'd earned in the Great Hunt allowed me to have an optimistic outlook on the future and not worry too much about losing this job. But I still didn't rush such an irreversible decision. My boss had already said his fill, blown off steam, and was returning to normal. Some of the things he said were completely correct. What was more, I noticed that he looked tired, as if he hadn't gotten enough sleep. His excessive irritation was probably rooted in that. What was more, Max Toner had most likely gotten an emotional send-up from his bosses intended to push him into adapting quicker to his new position, and he was just transmitting this rage to his underlings. Nevertheless, I was expecting a totally different evaluation of my gameplay. No matter how you sliced it, Amra had kept the wonderful flying mount, acquired a unique mythical hound for the Grey Pack, made it away from the big chase, and kept up an exciting pace the whole time. The fact that my video clips enjoyed such success in the rankings was evidence of that. Taking advantage of the pause in the stream of the director's rage, I reminded him of my accomplishments. And yet, on that account, my boss had a totally different perspective. "Timothy, I don't see anything to your credit in this sudden spike in popularity. You got the unique forest wyvern from nothing more than one stroke of luck. I don't know all the details of what happened, but I've heard rumors that your much-vaunted quest was not entirely free of foul play, and that other directors of special projects were fired over some of the murky details. From there, you just rode the current. The reason your clips were so popular wasn't because you're such a brilliant player, but simply because the players were interested in the valuable trophy of the Great Hunt. Soon your fleeting glory will pass, and all that will remain is a barren remnant. An abominable goblin herbalist who hasn't even developed his main skills." I wanted to disagree, and even opened my mouth slightly, preparing to speak, but just kept silent and lowered my head. Actually, I had to agree with him there. Max Toner then continued. "If you were just a normal player, no one would have said a word to you about your poor skill leveling. But you're employed by the Boundless Realm Corporation, and everyone knows it. You must serve as an example for the others, show the advantages of playing as an herbalist, reveal the potential of that path, and then, at the very least, don't lag behind in your profession. But what we have on our hands now is a rotten mess. The average level 40 herbalist has their herbalism skill at around level 42 or 3, but yours is just 15. I'm not afraid to say that someone who works for a game developer should be ashamed of that. How much time do you need to correct the error?"